Dr. Arlene Diamco. I'm an integrative physician, pediatrician, and cranial osteopath here in Roswell, Georgia with All Worlds Health. So what we're going to go through today is lymph pumping. And your lymph system is all over. So to show you a picture or remind you if you don't know, it's like the cardiovascular system. So you have these lymph vessels all over the body. And the lymph is really responsible for draining inflammation and toxins, metabolites, debris. It also brings the white blood cells and antibodies. So when it drains inflammation, anything with inflammation is swelling, anything with itis. So it could be otitis with the ears, pharyngitis, the throat, sinusitis, pleuritis, the lungs, carditis, the heart, diverticulitis. So anything that ends in itis, dermatitis, will have some kind of inflammation. It's by definition inflammation. And so when we tend to the lymph system, then we are going to help support that health of the body and its ability to help drain the inflammation. And the lymph really works, the lymphatic system works like a siphon. So if you have ever drained a fish tank before, if you put the tube in the tank and then you start pumping, well, as you start the pump, the water starts to suction itself. And it's not like you have to keep pumping. You can let go and the water will continue. So the lymphatic system works the same way. It's not like you have to open up everything, but it does work all together as a siphon. And as you open it up, then it will be able to suction and help to drain everywhere. So we always think of the body as a whole. When we learn, we're going to be working in the upper chest and the abdomen. And this is a self-treatment class. There are ways to do it treating somebody else, but we're going to do those in different classes. So the main thing when you start, the most important thing is that you can get yourself as relaxed as possible, because in order to feel, you have to be relaxed. And we're going to be working with the fluid, and sometimes it can feel kind of subtle. And the more you're able to just breathe and relax, the better, more efficient your pump is going to be. And the more that you're going to be able to notice. So you can just go ahead and like shake things out however you want. You can do shoulder rolls. And this is just to get your system kind of primed. And we're just going to use beginner's mind. If you know anything else about the body, we're just going to set that aside right now because you're going to learn something new. There are many ways to do lymph pumping. This is the way I like to do it, and it's one of the most efficient ways. So I will be giving each of you some feedback and make sure that your pump is really effective. I have a video out, but I found that it's been so much more helpful if I walk people through it, because just a little bit of feedback and then you can really get on that lymph system. So the first thing is going to just be able to notice areas of congestion. If you're already swollen, I mean, you know there's congestion, but where we're going to feel is like right here in the upper chest. So you could do one side at a time if you want. You could feel with both hands or one. And this is going to be a very light touch. So imagine that you're feeling fluid. If you feel too hard, the fluid likes to fill the container. So if you press too hard, we're not feeling for lymph nodes, but you will squish the fluid and then you will not be able to feel it. You'll miss it. So you're going to feel really lightly, and sometimes you just feel, it's like you can feel like little bumps under the skin sometimes. If you imagine that fluid that's free flowing, it's more like water. So water, it's like very thin and moving and free flowing. So that will feel relaxed and soft. If there's areas of congestion, it's going to be a thicker fluid and it's going to feel just like that. If it's really thick, then it can feel kind of jello-y consistency. So you could sometimes even feel like little, it's different than the lymph nodes where it's like we're feeling the vessels too, but sometimes you can feel like little like squishy jello-y jelly beans. Not so hard as a jelly bean. It's like if it was like a jello jelly bean. And you can feel that kind of bumpiness under the surface. So I want you to just compare sides and see what you feel. Notice if it's symmetric or if there's asymmetry. Usually the area that feels maybe more tense as well will be more congested. So if you're having a hard time feeling like little areas of congestion, notice like if there's areas of tightness, which side is tighter or which spot is tighter. We're feeling all under this collarbone, like towards the armpits, axilla. And as you feel, I want everyone to give space in their minds. So if you have a window, look outside the window. Because sometimes even when you're feeling on yourself, it's very interesting because you're going to be treating and getting immediate feedback at the same time. And let the feeling come to you. So not questioning what you feel. It's just like, okay, I just want to make sure everyone is able to feel, because now then we start the pumping, then you're going to be able to notice, well, first know where to start. And then you're going to be able to notice like when there's a shift. So if we don't know where we're starting, then sometimes it's harder to notice a shift. So now the area that you felt was most congested, then depending on the side, you'll just do whatever hand feels comfortable. One hand is going to go on the bottom. It'll be your palm. So say I'm treating over here on my right side, I'll put my palm down here and back up so you can see me. And then the top hand is going to go on top of the back of your hand. So the dorsal surface of the hand for medical. And now your bottom hand is going to be passive. The purpose of the palm is to help diffuse the vibration that you're going to send through your body. And then you can see here, I'm going to keep even though I'm treating myself, which is can be a little different than treating somebody else, I'm going to stay as relaxed as possible. So we're not doing this and we're not just exaggerating. And then even here, see, I'm trying to keep my wrist as neutral as possible, because sometimes we do this to ourselves and then we get like this, we feel like we have to kind of torque and do these strange positions, but you can see that that feels awkward and sort of really tense. So, but there's a way to do it more relaxed, dropping the hand, and then I'm going to keep the natural curve to my fingers, so not so tense. And the direction that you want to pump is through the body, so front to back or anterior posterior, and then you're also going to add a slight angle towards the heart. Okay, so it just depends on which direction. And then I'm going to show you, and you're going to send that vibration through. And if you have a window, just look outside the window, easy peasy. Think about something light like the sunset or kittens and puppies, and see, just thinking about that, just sort of relax the mind, relax the scalp, neck, shoulders, arms, wrists, fingers. And I'm going to send that wave through. It's more like a wave kind of vibration than a pulsation. So real soft and gentle. The frequency will depend on what frequency feels good to you. And so doing this now, I don't want you to necessarily be moving the skin. See, look, if I do this, I'm not really going through the body. My hand's just getting massaged there. Or if I do more superficial, where it's like, I'm just like going like that, it's not really, you get the sense that it's not really going through. But if I kind of send it through, you can see, you just kind of feel like, oh yeah, that's much more through the body. Okay, so the most important thing will be relax your head, neck, shoulders, arms, and wrists. Think about the clouds. Even though it's something new, it's no big deal. We're going to take the intensity off of ourselves. And if you feel a shift, that's okay. Just stay like really light. You're not pushing it. With ourselves, especially when you're treating ourselves, sometimes we get this idea that like, okay, I feel it's an area of congestion. Now I'm going to get it out. and that's like not a great mentality to have. It won't be as efficient. It's just like, that's okay. I see that you're there and I can help you. It's gonna be okay. Loosen the wrist and then put it back down. See? Then it doesn't have to be like this.
Okay.
Loosen the wrists, curve the fingers, and then you got yourself. And part of it is just we're stumbling over the words because what the words mean are specific for you. Because to me, the pulsing has more of a peak to it. Mm-hmm. And what I want people to do is sort of like round out the curve of the way. So if like pulsing to me is like, has an intensity to it, and then I want a rounded wave. Yes, the burning sensation, it can be like a movement of the fluid because the congested fluid is somewhat acidic. And yes, so you can get that sensation. And it doesn't have to be much, but if you got it, if you had that kind of shift, that means, yeah, you're already on the fluid. So I would just say, I want to just like give everyone like some tidbits. You already got a shift, so you're already doing it. Okay, so instead of like this kind of circular motion, which already is nice, like even I do that to myself, I was like, oh, that's pretty, that feels kind of nice, but I want you to have even more vibration through. So you see here, now I'm sending this more through, and I can feel it like even more. It's like, oh. So it's sort of interesting when you treat yourself because you get sleepy and then you sometimes just go to sleep before you really like get to it all. Be very gentle with yourselves. You don't necessarily have to pump more, and just because you feel areas of congestion, it doesn't mean that you have to pump them. Just once you get a shift, maybe go to the other side, see if you can get them symmetric, and then you get a shift, let it be. Like a significant shift where you're like, wow, I really feel that. Doesn't have to be like, oh yeah, I got every little congested area out. That sounds demanding. It's just like, huh, this was a nice shift. Let me sit with that. Let me let that assimilate. And you can always pump more. It's fine. It's not going to be a big deal if you wait a little bit. And then you could be like, okay, I'm ready again. So now we're going to, you guys are on it, and then I will just show you another area to do. You're going to go on your abdomen. So anywhere in the abdomen, and you'll just feel for areas of congestion. This is very light, so anybody that does any kind of therapeutic work or is in healthcare, it's not that deep palpation. You're not trying to feel organs. We're trying to feel fluid. And so all you need to notice is like, huh, is there an area with more pressure? Is there an area that's sort of like more puffy, or it's got like a little, that little, sort of up here, like the jelly beanish, jello-y jelly beans, like squishy jelly bean feel underneath it. And we're feeling fluid, and even though you're feeling on the surface, you're gonna get a sense of everything below it too. So don't feel like you have to feel hard to know what's going on. And since we're feeling on ourselves, then you get that immediate feedback. So if you find an area with like pressure, you have the feedback inside you too of like, ooh, that feels like a little pressure there. Okay, that's like congestion. Or if you feel in yourself like, oh, that's kind of tender, then like, okay, that's an area of congestion. So it's interesting when you treat yourself, you have that immediate feedback. I'm feeling and I get feedback. So you can use that in trying to like see where to start. And then when you feel an area that you're like, okay, well, we'll start here, then it's going to be the exact same thing, except for now your pump will go up towards the heart. So say I'm right here, and then the palm is on the area of the congestion, and then my pump will be going directed, so relax shoulders, shake it out, and then the pump will be more, so going up towards the heart. So it's through, so here's the through, and now I'm going to add an angle a little up towards the heart. And again, the frequency or the the rate of your pump is just whatever feels good to you. When you're doing it on yourself, you can kind of play around with it. And when you get a relaxation, it's like, oh, okay, that's the frequency I like. Oh yeah. And then you can feel, I'll just give examples of what you could feel. Sometimes you could feel like a wave going through you. You could feel drainage. And don't get the idea that just because you're pumping from below, that it's just doing the abdominal area. We have so much lymph under that diaphragm. The diaphragm is so important. And a lot of times people will be pumping in their abdomen and then they get sinus drainage. So then you see how, wow, everything is so connected. The whole body is really connected. You can do this. It's really up to you. You want to follow yourself. So whatever is needed, even a few minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes a day can be enough. And if you did it like, it depends, because if you're sick, then maybe you need to do it more often. And it could be 2 to 3 times a day. But don't get the idea that just because there's a lot of inflammation that it's going to take longer. That could be true per se, but it's not an absolute truth. So just be open-minded that it could take a long time, it could take a short time. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever time your body needs. And if I do like to feel some sort of shift, even a little shift within a few minutes. So if you don't, then it's just not, you could be more efficient about your pump, and it's okay if you don't worry about it, because there's lymph pumping techniques where they're like, oh yeah, just pump for an hour. But yeah, I don't know, I'm a little more impatient maybe. So, but if you do find that it's taking more than a few minutes to get a release, then I would say to relax, relax, relax. Yeah, everyone's doing it. Really, a lot of it's just like, oh, spaciousness of mind. What if my body was mostly space, which it is, and I was pumping that? What if you were just pumping space? What would it feel like? Good. Yep. So that's little suggestions or helping people pump more effectively. Relax those shoulders a bit more. There. And it's fine to have a fast pump. I would say slow it down just a hair. There, so you don't get tired. Yeah. But you can play around with it.
Does it matter if we're sitting up or we're laying down?
Not really. But sometimes if you're laying down, you're going to have to sit up to because if things start draining, you'll just naturally sit up.
Okay.
And reach for tissues. So that's what happens, because when we're treating somebody else, the person being treated is typically laying down. That's just at least how in teaching it. And then sometimes they get drainage and they sit up. So however is comfortable for you. So you'll just a natural wherever that you want that palm to go. And then the other hand will come with a natural. Yep. And then you're going to pump anterior, posterior with a slight angle towards the heart. Okay. So however you can like get your fingers. And imagine really like pumping through the body. So it's less like you don't do this and it's not a superficial pump. You want that vibration to go through. And then you'll just use that angle because your fingers are already kind of curled down towards the heart. There, that's starting to look like you're getting more on. A jiggle to cause a gentle ripple. It's like, I have to kind of define the words to make sure that we're talking about the same way. Because for me, yeah, it could be a jiggle. It sort of depends on which way you're jiggling. Because if you're jiggling like side to side, you're not really getting that pump. But if you're jiggling through and you're getting the sense that vibration's going through, then yes, maybe. I like to think of it more as a wave because sometimes a jiggle, it has like, it's like you could round the edges a bit more and make your wave a bit more smooth and more connected. The jiggling actually moves the lymph. So there's not like a right or wrong to that. It's more just like, well, how connected am I to the fluid? And how much am I listening to my body and being connected to the fluid? Because then your pump will be more efficient. And this is amazing. So can you tell everyone what you noticed?
Yeah, sure. I was feeling my neck lymph nodes very big and painful and swollen before I started. And now I can feel the difference. It's amazing. The left side is almost gone. The right side, it's 80% smaller, and yeah, it's fantastic.
Yes, it's just like that. It is that simple. My 14-year-old did it on somebody with swollen glands just like you. And yes, it doesn't even take that long. It took a little bit longer because we're going through all the different people, but the response is minutes. Mm-hmm. How long for you did you?
And I'm coughing. I feel that I'm coughing now, and I feel that I'm releasing.
And this is amazing, because then you know, it just lets, when people learn how to do this, you worry less, because now you're like, oh, okay, I know a way to help take care of myself, to help draw out the health within, because your body knows how to do it. We just need to support it and nourish it, and instead of thinking about always like squishing out the disease or smashing the disease. It's like, well, actually your body knows how to do that. So if you nourish that health, it will know what to do. And so it drains it on its own. And it's not like, you know, you don't always have to take out the big guns and the heroic measures. It's great that we have those. So this is not like to do alone, and it's in the context of like integrative medicine, but to be able to have this for yourself and know that you can do it, it just, everyone starts to breathe better. And then that less stress in the diaphragm, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get sicker. And what if I get sicker and sicker? And now it's like, no, I know how to connect with my body. I know how to talk to it, and it knows what to do. And I'm going to give it the space to do that. So that's so incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much for your time and for your willingness to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, you guys did great. Everyone got it. Everyone's doing a really good job. Is anyone, okay, I'm gonna go through all these questions here. Yes, you can sign up for treating another video. It just takes a while to do it all in one session, especially when we have a lot of people, but you can, once you learn how to get on the fluid, then being able to do like variations of it will be much faster. Is it good to drink warm water tea after? It's often a good idea to drink warm water and tea, so yes. And yes, you're welcome, everyone. How long should you do each side, each spot? Here, let me put my video. How long to do each side, each spot? So it's whatever you need to do to notice a shift. So again, usually if you are right on the fluid, then you can get that within minutes. Sometimes if you're doing like a different kind of lymph pumping, and we're doing more of like a physical pump, which is, it's totally fine, but it can take a little bit longer. So it really depends on what's needed. Everyone here has connected with the lymph fluid, with the fluid, and that's where it gets really faster. So if you ever feel like it's not shifting, then just relax. You could take a break, shake it out, take a nice big breath. Make sure, and make sure when you bring your hands to yourself, because we're working with a smaller space here versus like treating somebody else, just open your arms up and then maybe bring them back together in a position that feels more natural, so you don't get these like weird angles of tension. How did you do?
I definitely felt the difference when it wasn't circular and when it was more relaxed. My body felt different.
And can you describe how it felt different?
For me, I just felt a sense of relaxation. I know you mentioned the wave. I just kind of felt like an overwhelming sense of relaxation.
Yes. Oh, yes. So then you know you're on it, and it's a very different feel. So that's the difference of like just reading it from the handout or watching a video and then getting right on it. And now you can have that feeling, and you know when you're going to be pumping more efficiently. And how does that area feel after you had that shift?
For me, it just feels lighter. Like
Yeah.
I was trying to find that jelly bean, and I know the area it is, but I just feel it a little bit less.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That took what, a few minutes?
Yeah. That's incredible.
So that is what's happening when people are, I've been teaching people that are sick or they're quarantined at home, is that they're able to get those kinds of results within minutes of effective pumping. So when it's not so efficient, it can still be doing something. It just like, okay, it takes a little bit longer. No big deal, but it takes longer. But when you get really right on that fluid and make a connection with it, you just move things really quickly. And so what's happening with people with COVID-19 is that they're getting these thick mucus plugs that's interfering with the oxygenation process. And they're also having trouble just draining toxins as well. There's some articles I read about, like the iron, and that also interfering with the oxygenation capacity. But the lymphatics are so important for all of that. Draining toxins, removing mucus. Mucus is another word for inflammation. Congestion is another word for inflammation. Swelling is inflammation. If we think about what inflammation means when we learn about it in medical school, it's swelling, pain or tenderness, warmth, color, the redness to it. So these are all ways to describe inflammation. So if you have any of that, then that's congestion, that's mucus, that's inflammation. And so when you use this really low-tech tool of yourself, which is actually very high-tech, then you can get amazing results. And so I'm just trying to get this message out to medicine as quickly as possible, because now each of you is like this little light and you know how to do it. So tell other people about it, and they're welcome. I'm going to post more schedule for classes. We'll see what we can do. But the more that you can get out, I would love for this to get out into the hospitals. And if there's anyone that's really desperate, they want me to watch them do it in the hospital with, somebody they really want to get better. I mean, we want everyone to get better, but it's sometimes when it becomes personal that we're really willing to do things that might feel different. But I can do the Zoom with, over the phone with someone, a healthcare provider in the hospital with somebody they're treating. Because the point is to really keep people off the ventilators. The ventilators are not working very well because the difficulty is in the oxygenation process. And if you're not able to do that, the ventilator is not really going to be able to get oxygen in so efficiently. And the people that are on the ventilators, they're having a hard time getting them off. But I'm just like, wow, I don't know if, what could happen in the ICUs if somebody used this, because I'm not there. But if you could just get a little bit of wiggle room, just a little drainage of a mucus plug, a little bit more oxygen, they could really maybe turn the corner. That's what my hope is. I'd like to do it for people to learn how to do this before they get to that point. And that's probably where it will help the most. But I know I'm seeing messages in all the physician boards of just like people feeling really stressed and desperate and not knowing what to do, and having loved ones like getting hospitalized. So this is what you can do. And once you figure out how it works, then you can really start to relax, because you know that it's going to be okay. And that's what I've been teaching people who are quarantined and having difficulty breathing. And then they feel it drain, and then they're able to breathe and get oxygen. They feel they have more energy. And then one of the biggest things is like the worry, because the worry and the fear is really tightening up people's diaphragms. And that's an issue, when you already have a tightened diaphragm and you get sick, then it's difficult. It just puts you at more risk for not being able to clear it. So beneficial for asthma, absolutely. Yes, I've taught parents how to do this, and 5 minutes a day with a kid that's asthmatic could make a world of difference. So anything else? Does anyone have any other questions? I'm going to send all of you a handout And so with some of the pointers that we talked about, so you can review it and have that as a resource. And I'll also send you a PDF that if you know anybody else, especially in healthcare or that's sick with COVID-19, or is taking care of someone that's sick, then to like send them that too. And we'll be opening up more time for classes. So anything else?
You're an angel.
And so are all of you. So we're going to have that ripple effect and send that wave, not just through our bodies, but through the world. So that's the vision. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for your time.
That was
And
thank you.
if you've got any questions that come up, you can just send them my way. And
Thank you so much.
Any feedback, like I would love to hear how people do as you practice, what you're able to do with it. And yeah, it would just be helpful. And then the sharing process, as you get to hear what other people feel, is really helpful for learning as well. So thanks so much. We got some people on the other side of the world here, so good night or have a great rest of your day. And yeah, take care.